Alright, so breaking news. The Philippines just lost to Japan. Let's take this apart and see what the way forward look like from here. So we've officially bowed out of the FIBA Asia Cup for this year. Now, when we're trying to pick apart what went wrong, let's start with what is super obvious after this Japan game where we fell 102-81. Number one, we're very small. I like that we had guys like Kiambao, Tamayo, Navarro, even Poy Aram as our bigs, but severely across the board against these teams that started loading up on size. And especially in the international scene where size and skill are sort of a combination, we didn't have that in this tournament at all. So what I'm doing right now is just trying to temper expectations with the way forward here, because this team that we sent out to participate in the FIBA Asia Cup, it was not that good a team. It's basically a bunch of kids that we sent out there along with one grizzled veteran who's had a lot of experience in these games, and the result is what you would expect. And I think that's what Chot Reyes was trying to sort of temper with regards to people and their expectations. And let's move on to number two here. It's really with our defense. So rebounding was a bit of a problem, especially against Japan. I thought that we were making great headway, but then Japan just had to punch every time. They had to counter punch every time when we tried to make a run, or when we started trying to gain momentum. They always had an answer for us. Now, rebounding was a bit of a problem because, again, we're severely undersized. We don't have the right personnel to contend with in the international scene. We can't play small ball against any of these guys because our small ball isn't exactly that super talented. But having said that, our defense on the perimeter, it was solid, but it was not good enough. And then when it broke down, it was almost always an easy 2 points for the opposition, again, because we just came into this tournament lacking a lot of size. Defensively, we have a lot to work on. And I think poise was also a very big problem here. I think midway through the third and fourth quarter, Kevin Kemba was just starting to wreak havoc everywhere, trying to draw technical fouls from the Japanese side. And even in previous games, like against New Zealand, against, I think it was Syria, or Lebanon, I think it was Lebanon, against, we didn't show enough poise. And you have to give this team a little bit of credit in the sense that they did do their best when we're talking about fighting spirit, again, Puso. But again, you have to also understand, we did not have Ange Kwame out there. We did not have Guy Salta out there. No Junmar Fajardo, no Stan Hardinger, none of those guys. Which leads me to the number one thing that I believe ultimately led to the demise of this team. The politics here is utterly ridiculous. In a world where in a basketball world where we understand that Guy Salta and Ange Kwame were not going to be available for this edition, we go out there and our best solution, or the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, their best solution is to plug in Poy Aram. We actually had more size in the SEA Games. The SEA Games, it doesn't have a lot of impact compared to the FIBA Asia Cup. Now we're gone from it. So I'm kind of confused why there was no Stan Hardinger, no Japet Aguilar, no Greg Slaughter, no Motao Tua. Again, Motao Tua played in the SEA Games, but he wasn't available in the FIBA Asia Cup. Since when did a pocket PBA tournament, because they have 3 of these every damn year, when did that become more important than us putting players who can make a big impact in an international tournament where our players have more exposure and we can somehow better highlight the value and the actual quality of Philippine basketball? When did that change? Year on year, we've always had this priority where when it's time for FIBA and when it's time for us to qualify for the Olympics, there is an emphasis on putting out the best possible product out there on the floor. We did not do that for this edition, not in the least bit. I don't blame Chot Reyes too much for what has happened in the FIBA Asia Cup. I believe that a lot of the difficulties that we experienced throughout this FIBA Asia Cup were due to just the lack of size, poor defensive schemes, maybe a little bit of effort. Poise was a bit of a problem. Again, these are just young guys. Talk about Carl Tamayo, LeBron Lopez, Renza Bando. The future is bright. But right now, where they are, they're young, inexperienced. This is their first time going up against some really big dudes. Teams like Japan and even Lebanon, they geared up for this tournament. They really put out some big dudes out there who can play. And if you look at the other teams, Australia, New Zealand, China, they're putting out a really good lineup. We, the Philippines, did not. I don't know what the true politics of the situation are. but it kind of pisses me off as a Gilas basketball fan where are all the right people? Where are the lineups that we can use to compete? It doesn't do the people who thought this would be a good idea just to prove a point. It actually doesn't help them in a way where, because the emphasis was to use these young guys, but we didn't put out a bunch of guys who could help. It doesn't help you at all, because now we're back to zero. And everybody's already understood that this is the way forward, where it's a European style type offense. Or it's not even European, it's just a motion type offense. That's the way to go and move forward offensively, and that's probably where Chot Reyes hurts us. But also defensively, we just don't have it. We did not have it for this tournament. And again, the politics here, it reeks. It absolutely stinks. It hurt us in this tournament. The people are trying to prove a point, in my own opinion, did not really get that point across, because the one thing that, in terms of expectation setting, that we can ride on is that the future is bright. We just put out a bunch of young guys out there, and if we had a little bit more size with an Ange Kwame that we didn't have, but we had against Serbia, we had in those previous tournaments, where against South Korea where we won, we have an anchor defensively, we have a better chance. Akai Soto, we have a better chance. Dwight Ramos wasn't even there. A very good and capable scorer wasn't there. This is a depleted lineup. I'm just talking about temporary expectations, where this team could have done a little bit better if we retooled with a little bit more sense, but we did not do that, and the end result is what you see. A lot of this I blame against the SBP. I'm not gonna put probably Chot Reyes takes like 20% of the blame, but 40 to 50% of the blame will need to go to the SBP, because he put out a team that really did not have much of a chance, I believe, going into this tournament. I like the perimeter guys, but the guys down low, they need a little bit more fire. They need to be put in a situation where it's a little bit more stressful than just playing against certain teams that don't really put you under that type of anxiety level, you know what I mean? So that's it. Let's see what the way forward is for the Gilas men's national team. I hope that we can somehow come together as a basketball community and agree on what works best, because this was terrible. We lose in the SEA Games, and then we lose in the FIBA Asia Cup. I'm not even sure if we're going to rank. This will probably hurt us in the rankings, and we're going to keep going down, where other teams are going to start taking over us. But this definitely hurt. To lose against Japan, whom we beat time and time again, it kind of speaks volumes as to where the program is now. And I believe that a lot of fans are going to clamor for a lot of change, myself included. There has to be some type of change in terms of the commitment with the talent level that we already have, both here in the Philippines and abroad. We really need to take this a lot more seriously, if we're serious at all about basketball. This has been Jaff, Grind Time Sports. See you in the next one.